There is no doubt that Claude Code has become incredibly good at writing code. But if you think about your actual development workflow, writing code is only one small part of the job. Every time Claude finishes making changes, there's usually a checklist waiting for you. Run the formatter, execute the tests, validate security rules, maybe execute a custom script. These aren't difficult tasks, they are just repetitive. And after a while, you realize you are spending more time asking Claude to perform the same follow up steps than actually solving new problems. So the obvious question becomes, can Claude automatically perform these tasks whenever the right moment arrives? The answer is yes, and that's exactly what hooks are designed for. A hook is simply an automation that executes whenever a specific event occurs inside Claude Code. Instead of manually triggering your workflow every time, you define it once and Claude executes it automatically whenever that event happens. But there's an important question we need to answer first. How does Claude know when to run a hook? Because automation without timing is useless. Every automation platform works on the same principle. GitHub Actions react to Git events, Jenkins reacts to pipeline events, Azure DevOps reacts to build events, and Claude hooks react to Claude events. Whenever one of those events occurs, Claude checks whether you've configured a hook for it. If you have, it executes that automation. Which means the most important concept to understand isn't actually hooks, it's events. To understand those events, we first need to understand how Claude actually processes a request. The answer lies in Claude's event lifecycle. Now I know this diagram looks a little intimidating at first. There are lots of events, multiple execution stages, and even an agentic loop in the middle. But don't worry, you don't need to memorize every single event. Instead, think of this entire life cycle in three different cadences. In other words, how frequently does an event occur? The first cadence is once per session. These events happen exactly one time during the lifetime of your Claude session. When Claude starts, session start fires, and when your session finally ends, session end executes. Since these events only happen once, they are perfect for initialization and cleanup tasks. For example, loading environment variables, setting up your development workspace, or collecting metrics before the session closes. The second cadence is once per turn. A turn represents one complete interaction between you and Claude. You submit a prompt, Claude processes your request, and eventually returns a response. At the very beginning of that process, user prompt submit fires. This gives you an opportunity to inspect or even modify the incoming prompt before Claude starts processing it. Once Claude completes its response, the turn ends with either stop or stop failure depending on whether the request completed successfully. No matter how much work Claude performs internally, these events occur only once for each prompt you send. Now let's look at the part where Claude actually gets work done. This middle section is called the agentic loop. Whenever Claude decides it needs to use a tool, maybe it's reading a file, editing code, executing a bash command, calling an MCP server, or performing a web search, it enters this loop. Right before any tool executes, PreToolUse fires. The tool runs, and immediately afterwards, PostToolUse executes. Here's the important part. These events don't happen once. They happen every single time Claude uses a tool. So if one prompt requires Claude to edit 5 files, run 3 bash commands, and query 2 MCP servers, PreToolUse and PostToolUse will execute for every one of those tool calls. That's exactly why these are the most commonly used events when building command hooks. There is one small exception worth remembering. If Claude decides to call end conversation, it skips both pre-tool use and post-tool use because there isn't an actual tool execution taking place. Now that we understand hooks are event driven, the next question is, what kind of automations can we actually build? Claude supports multiple hook types. Command hooks execute local shell commands. Prompt hooks allow another AI prompt to evaluate what Claude is doing. HTTP hooks can call external APIs and webhooks. MCP hooks interact with MCP servers and tools. There are also a few experimental hook types that continue to evolve. But before jumping into advanced integrations, it's much better to master the simplest hook first. That's the command hook. A command hook simply executes a local command or script whenever a configured event occurs. That script can inspect what Claude is about to do, perform validation, log information, or even prevent Claude from continuing. Since I'm working on Windows, I'll be using PowerShell, but the exact same concept works with Bash or any other scripting language. Let's start by writing the script itself. We're going to create a small PowerShell script whose job is to stop dangerous commands before Claude executes them. Claude communicates with the hook through standard input or stdin out. So our script first reads the incoming JSON from the console and then extracts the command information from that JSON. For this demo, I'm keeping the script intentionally simple. If the requested command contains one of these dangerous operations, rm, remove item, or delete, we'll block it. And to tell Claude that the operation should not continue, we return a permission decision of deny. I'll leave the reference for this output structure in the description, and we'll go deeper into the different hook inputs and outputs in a future video. If our condition doesn't match, we simply return exit code 0. That tells Claude there's no reason to block this call, so continue with the tool execution. So our first piece is ready. We have a small guard script, but there's one missing piece. How does Claude know when to run this script? That's where hook configuration comes in. Let's see how Claude lets us configure that. I'll run the /hooks command. Claude is telling us that we can manually update the settings.json file, or we can simply ask Claude to create a hook based on our requirement. Right now, we have 0 hooks configured, and Claude is showing us the different events where a hook can be triggered. For this demo, we're interested in one specific event, PreToolUse. The name already gives us a clue. This hook runs before Claude executes a tool, and that's exactly what we need because our goal is to inspect a dangerous command before it actually runs. Now let's connect our script to that event. I'm going to configure this at the project level using settings.local.json. First, we add the hooks object. Inside that, we define the PreToolUse event, and PreToolUse takes an array of hook configurations. Now comes an important part, the matcher. I'm going to use an asterisk here, asterisk. This means match every tool call. And finally, we define the hook itself. The type is command because we want Claude to execute our external script. And here I am configuring PowerShell along with the path to our script. Everything is configured. There's just one small typo here, a missing comma. Let me fix that. And we are ready to test. And check /hooks one more time. And now we can see one hook configured. Perfect. Now instead of immediately trying something complicated, let's test this with a simple destructive operation. That will make it much easier to see exactly what our hook is doing. I've created a temporary folder here just for testing. Now I'll ask Claude, remove the temporary folder recursively. Claude needs to figure out how to perform that operation, and before the actual tool call happens, our PreToolUse hook gets a chance to inspect it. And remember our matcher? We configured it as asterisk. So this hook isn't interested in just one particular tool. It is saying, before any matching tool call, give my hook a chance to inspect it. And that's exactly what we are seeing. Claude attempts the remove item operation. Our hook receives the call, recognizes it as dangerous, and returns permission decision deny. So the operation is blocked. Notice that this works regardless of whether Claude is trying to perform the operation through Bash or PowerShell. because our matcher is currently matching every tool call. But now let's make this more interesting. Instead of matching everything, I'll change the matcher to CMD. Now I'm telling Claude, only invoke this hook when the tool name matches CMD. Let's run the same request again. This time Claude is trying to perform the operation through bash, but our matcher is only looking for CMD. So the matcher doesn't fire for this call, the hook doesn't get invoked, and the command proceeds. And as you can see, the folder is deleted. So let's expand our matcher and include bash and PowerShell as well. Now I'll try the same operation using PowerShell. The folder gets deleted again. Wait, why? We clearly added PowerShell to the matcher, but the hook didn't block the operation. And this is where matcher configuration becomes really important. The matcher has to match the actual tool name Claude sends in the hook input. This is case sensitive matching. Let's fix the casing, and now it works. So remember this, if the matcher doesn't match the actual tool name, your hook won't get the opportunity to make the decision. But there is another level of control we can add. Right now, a matcher decides which tool calls can reach the hook. But what if we want the hook to run only for a specific command? For example, maybe we only want our dangerous command logic to apply when the command starts with remove item. That's where we can use an if condition inside our hook script. So now we have two levels of filtering. The matcher decides, should this hook be invoked for this tool? And the condition inside our script decides, now that the hook is running, does this particular command need to be blocked? Let's test that. Our matcher matches this tool, so the hook is invoked. But inside the hook, our condition checks the actual command. And this command is not a remove item call, so the condition doesn't match. And Claude is allowed to continue. And this brings us to the most important part of this demo. We've seen all the individual pieces, but let's put them together. What actually happens inside Claude when a hook is configured? Let's walk through the complete flow. Claude starts by deciding to execute a tool. It's trying to run bash remove command. Before executing that tool, Claude creates the PreToolUse call input. This contains information about the tool, including the tool name and the command being requested. That call input is then evaluated against our hook configuration. First, Claude checks the matcher. Does our matcher match this tool? If the answer is no, this hook doesn't apply. Claude simply continues with the tool call. But if the matcher says yes, we move to the next level. Our hook's if condition is validated. If validation failed, then hook will not execute the script and Claude continues. But if validation passed, then PowerShell script receives the call input through stdin. The script reads the JSON and evaluates our condition. If the command is considered dangerous, we return permissionDecision as deny. Claude receives that decision and the tool call is blocked. Before we wrap up, let's quickly recap. Today we answered three important questions. What are hooks? What's happening behind the scenes inside Claude Code through its event lifecycle? And finally, how do you build your very first command hook? These three concepts are the foundation for every hook you'll build going forward. In the next video, we'll explore more hook types and build some practical AI hooks that you can start using in your day-to-day development workflow. If there's a specific hook, automation, or real-world use case you'd like me to cover, let me know in the comments. I'll try to include it in this Claude Code playlist. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to StonerStack for more content on Claude Code, AI engineering, MCP, and Agentic AI. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.